about some of the power picks over the course of Ready Check. We know Aphelios had a really deep dive by, Sharks, Dracos, and Vedius. I anticipate to see more of him, but you and I had a lot of fun talking about Milica's Jace, and It was locked in. We had different expectations and hopes, but Milica popped off along with Vitality to help take down G2 last week.
Yeah, I mean, Milica playing the Jace against Caps. Caps has some flashbacks to 2018. Rookie Jace getting locked into his face. The Milica Jace, a pocket pick of his, and one that I'll be excited to see, especially because it's felt like we haven't had a Jace mid player in the LEC for so long. Like, some of our top laners have played it from time to time, but mid lane Jace is more of like an LPL specialty. So I would be a fan to see Milica pull it out again here. Now, looking at the actual bans we have on our screen, Varus still banned away even after the nerf specifically targeted at lethality Varus, and the scaling damage on his Q still in the ban pool for these teams.
So a little bit of similarity last week. I mean, Graves still open available. Aphelios, Ezreal there as well, options for them. And considering how well Hansama looked on that Aphelios pick, and the fact Rogue, remember, are undefeated at 3-0, where did they go for their first pick? Hovering for a few seconds, and it's going to be the Trundle, so that's a big surprise to me.
Yeah, so Trundle did get nerfed on this patch. There were a couple base stat changes that is just tidying up numbers. Those don't really matter too much. But the big one is he loses 10% of the movement speed he gets on his W, which makes it a little bit harder to, again, access targets. But this is another one of those champions that doesn't care, quite frankly, about losing out on some movement speed on his W, because runes right now offer you so much movement speed with things like celerity, water walking. We've seen, a lot of Trundles going for Conqueror, but over in the LPL, I know early on we saw Predator Trundle, and after the changes to Predator, like, we're gonna see a Predator Gragas, which I think is just strictly buffed on this patch, and quite frankly, could be what we see Inspired go for on the Trundle too.
Well, it's gonna be the Kalista, it's gonna be the Gragas, and G's only gonna have his hands on that one, and now we get to see the direction Rogue wanna play. What do you make of a Kalista X lane versus an anticipated what? Aphelios, Lulu, Aphelios, Nautilus, like, you anticipate to go that direction.
Yeah, so I'm thinking you probably don't get away with going an Enchanter support here next to the Aphelios when you see Kalista locked in, because even though the Thresh is banned, like, the next best thing is probably like Kalista Nautilus down in the bottom lane here as sort of like a power engage 2 versus 2, and you don't really want to play a Lulu into that, because if you get jumped on, you expect Gragas maybe camping down towards that bottom side of the map. It's going to be very difficult. So hovering the Braum here, I do like specifically as a counter option into the Gragas, who obviously you throw up the shield, the Unbreakable, and Gragas ult is going to knock you away instead of into his team. And of course, any sort of melee support that goes into the Braum can quickly apply the stun stacks, especially if Aphelios has like his Crescendum or something. He's just going to rapid fire those away and be able to disengage no problem.
So a lot of disengage tools here. The Trundle, the Braum already on the side of Rogue, starting to play well. Vitality going to look to round out their bottom lane. And a reminder of just how powerful Kalista Taric is. I still visualize Mad Lions beating G2 Esports with that duo. We can see the impact it takes.
Yeah, and I really like this here, especially after seeing the Braum, because as soon as you see Braum, it's like, oh, it's actually much harder to like get kills in the 2v2 in lane. Braum offers a lot of safety for his ADC, so Nautilus loses out on overall value, whereas Taric only going to gain in value. Now you sort of have 2 or even 3 buttons over on the Vitality side that say, hey, we're getting ready to go for a fight. So Predator, you have the channel time, right? The Taric ulti has the wind up as well, so they're going to be able to set up for these fights and sort of coordinate all of those together very nicely.
Okay, how excited do we get if a Volibear comes in and win? Jace is banned away. We already like this. Milica has had a target against him. We only have 2 games to cast you and I today. I really want to see this champion.
I really want to see Volibear too. I don't want to get too hyped for it to like come in immediately because again, this is a champion that we are trying to feel out. Volibear are going to be very good against low-range enemy team comp, so I'm already seeing a little bit of that with something like a Kalista perhaps, although Kalista pretty decent at kiting out that Volibear, especially once she gets the Blade of the Ruined King as a good itemization counter for her right here. These 80 bans from Rogue, the Jace against Milica, of course, the Yasuo too, make a ton of sense when you have an AP jungler locked in the form of the Gragas here, and the Sion as well for Cabochard. Like, Vitality are just building this comp that's like, they're going to scream at you. In 10 seconds, we're engaging. You better be ready. And they might not be ready.
And honestly, even if you are ready, good luck. Sion, Taric, Kalista, Gragas. There is a lot of options to get in there. And a slightly defensive pick. Got some poke as well.
Now, I will say, Trundle is a very good answer into the Sion. So I'm not sure if Vitality were thinking about this all that well, because they're like, Sion, you go charge in, and then a pillar goes up in your face. And they're like, okay, wait, my engage option is gone. Well, I'm still a tank. Oh, not anymore. You're just going to get subjugated and not have a lot of fun right there. So I think Rogue have built a very stock standard composition right here with the Ornn in the top lane to hand out some Infinity Edges to the double marksman here. I'm curious if Milica would want to go for a hyper carry option, because something like the Kassadin does work very well into the Rogue lineup. You do not have a lot of immediate hard CC. All the CC tools are either soft, like it's not an immediate stun or a snare, and even the Braum, who has the stun, needs some time to ramp that up. So I think this last walk for Vitality is a fantastic pivot.
Oh my word. Okay, so first game of week 2 of the summer split. We've got about as standard comp as you can get on the side of Rogue. It was what we were anticipating, that front beefy front line, as well as carries that are going to scale on the back end. But Kassadin, Kalista for Team Vitality. Do you see any big differences in how these teams are going to execute the compositions?
Yeah, so already Vitality are saying we want action around the bottom lane early on, right? You know, Gragas has tools to be able to come in for ganks, but especially post level 6 for Cabochard. He's just going to hit level 6, recall, and then walk bot lane with that ultimate and look for lane ganks, turret dives, you know, the whole 9 yards for them. Whereas Rogue, with the Trundle in the jungle, are getting much more focused on objectives in the early game. It fits right into Inspired's wheelhouse. Yes, he plays some of these early game junglers, but ultimately his focus is on those objectives and on stacking up the Drakes.
Well, let's find out what happens as Rogue take on Vitality. Very excited to see how this game plays out. Rogue, again, along with Fnatic, are one of the only 2 teams that went undefeated in Super Week to start off summer. Vitality, a surprise hit to the start of the summer split. And can they surprise the world by taking down Rogue? Again, you would have to think Rogue are still the favorites this matchup, but they've got a very, very interesting team composition. And one in which where you can actually very clearly see how they would do it. There are opportunities here. During the laning phase, do you anticipate a lot of action here? We've talked so much about the nullifying effect of the bottom lane. Mid lane is really one time, and like similar for the wet noodle fight in top. I feel like we're in for a slow one.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially from the side of Rogue, there's not a ton of great options. I think top lane is gankable. You know, Trundle pillar obviously works very nicely with Ornn, so he doesn't have to wait for his own pillar to pop up for any sort of CC up against the Sion. But again, probably don't want to spend too much time around that side of the map. Mid lane, a potential option for Inspired to look to get an early flash against the melee Kassadin here. But Vitality going for level 1 invade, and Inspired has no idea it's 3v1.
No clue at all. That's a flash stun over the wall from Labrov. They get the flash from Inspired, so they commit, take away the summon spell, and they will be able to secure the Bramble back right now. Net win-loss, what do you make of this?
I mean, net win for Vitality. The flash lost on Labrov doesn't really make much sense right there. He wanted the element of surprise, but I feel like could have accomplished very much the same without sacrificing his own summoner down in the bottom lane, especially because looking at this 2 versus 2, you're thinking, hey, you know, like Kalista Taric has some power down there, a lot of sustain options with that Taric, and the Halo Blades power from comp is supposed to give you a winning bot side.
And just give me a second to just celebrate Vitality for a moment, because in their win versus G2 last week, they won in less than 29 minutes. They had a 3.7k gold lead, 7 kills at 15 minutes, and they only conceded 2 deaths. Why am I hammering home these stats? Because immediately out the gates, Vitality have committed a 3-man invade. They're willing to throw their flash against Rogue. They could have sat back and played passive, but they're willing to commit, and they're looking for those opportunities. It's the mindset that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Vitality are all in and early, and that is an exciting thing to see here, especially now because you see the whole goal, while yes, you wanted to get a kill, was to divide the map in half. So now NG is down towards this bottom side, and they're trying to set up a gank here with Labrov.
Vander is one of 2 players that's currently unkilled in the LEC. He's not the target as Hans Summer goes below 100, and he's rendered down. That was so beautifully executed between Comp and Labrov to get first blood. And there will be a reply back as Inspired actually concedes a death in that dive. So if you're comparing dive for dive, Vitality did it better.
Yeah, Vitality for sure won. And why does NG die, you say right there? Well, it's because he lost his flash at level 1. He couldn't drop the tower aggro right there and ended up picking that up. So it all goes back to the start where Vitality said, we're going to put 3 people into that bot side jungle to set up for that bot side play. And it even has the larger repercussion of making the top lane a 1-for-1 trade.
Yeah, it really does. So Vitality showing their commitment to the plays, not only in the invade and then obviously immediately following it up with the tower dive. Let's take a look what Inspired's going to do. 0-1-1, under some pressure, conceding an early death, and that means Rogue are in a deficit. But we are going to be in for a slightly longer game, I feel, unless these crazy plays keep happening, of course. But there's so much, like, scalability, scaling's the word I'm looking for, on both sides of the rift. So if either team is able to just slow the tempo down, slow the game pace, they buy themselves the ability to get to those second and third items.
Sure, but right now, I feel like Inspired was really hoping to make something happen towards the top side. You could see Finn actually set up this, freeze coming in towards his side of the lane. Cabochard didn't have a flash, so Inspired was up there, ended up calling it off after a ward went down from Cabo, and you can see Cabo even called NG on over towards the play to make sure that they could fully push out that lane. The trade-off, of course, is that bot side for Vitality doesn't necessarily have that same protection, so NG gonna want to make this play quick so that he can then go back and revisit bot lane.
Well, let's see what happens here as Cabochard is busy getting some support. Has already started to back away though. And Cabo, just as a little bit of information, this is the 4th time that he's played Sion this year. Ender, quick stat question. How many other players have played Sion?
Have played in the LEC?
That's correct, this year, 2020. I'll give you the answer. It's less than 1.
I was gonna say 0. Why'd you actually tell me that?
Because you lagged. Nevertheless,
what?
The only person that's played Sion this year, Cabo, 2 games in spring. This is now
rigged.
2 games in a row. It was rigged. I basically just wanted to feed the stat out there, and huge props as well. Now we've got the player cams, or the team cams rather. As you can see, Vitality, small lead, small advantage, but it doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things. We're going to take a longer time before we start seeing any real meaningful advantages built up.
Yeah, and so what I'm still looking for is Cabochard level 6 into bot lane. Now, the thing that Finn has done quite well is that he actually held on to his teleport, so Cabo had to use his after getting dove very early on in towards the game. But once Cabo hit 6, and now that he is 6, bot lane, where Hansama doesn't have a flash or heal, is looking very, very juicy, especially if Comp can keep that lane towards his side of the map. That could be bad news for Rue.
I'm such a fan of the unstoppable onslaught engages from bot lane. Pick up a kill, but then ideally you want to TP back up to top, make sure you don't lose anything more. So we will have to wait a few minutes for that. You can see on the bottom lane, Inspired clearing out his Krugs.
Yeah, well, it's so big because Vitality also see Inspired clearing out those Krugs, NG just went on a mission to get the vision. Of course, they see Trundle take a reset, so that means it's time to go ahead and start up the Drake, and that's going to be a very easy play for them. But it also means that even if they lack the or they know Finn has teleport towards the top side of the map, if they can make sure Inspired isn't in that bot side jungle, well, it's going to be very easy for Vitality to still set up that play that I've been talking about for the last 6 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things, it's like expectation building, right? You have to anticipate that setting up those visions, setting up those wards for Vitality is part of the information. As long as you know Inspire's not there or somebody can react. Milica's going to go forward with that Rift Walk. Look at the bottom lane. Look at the base. Cabochard.
It's happening.
He could go into Transformer mode, but Ender, you pointed out earlier, ideally, you would want the lane to be on Vitality's side. However, Inji's here.
Yeah.
They're setting this up.
What they did was they tried to bounce the wave, but you can see Hansam and Vander playing it very nicely and holding it right there in front of the tower. Now, I don't think that's necessarily the end of the world because Cabochard is going to be here, but notice, Inspired down towards that bot side jungle. Finn has the teleport as well, so they're going to wait until Inspired walks topside, and then they make the
super quick. Is Vander at risk of conceding the first death? He's already going to get engaged. That's a face plant from Cabochard, and not what you want to happen. Call of the Forge God comes out. That's a knock-up into the air for Labrov. NG's going to be the first target. He gets connected as Finn is able to bounce him up into the air. Finn gets the first kill of the fight. Now Hansama's trying to find some more damage. His reply back is Finn goes down. It's a 1-for-1. Ender, I can hear the disappointment in your crossed arms.
I mean, Cabochard needs to lose his driver's license after that. I don't know what that was. The walls don't move, man. You're right there. I mean, sure, maybe Infernal Rift stuff starts breaking, but no, Cabochard, big mistake on that play. I do feel like ends up being a 1-for-1 trade when all is said and done, he's going to be down here and pick up a turret plate for his trouble. So at the end of the day, Vitality is still going to be fairly happy with how things turned out. But I think Inspired, by taking the Swifttail towards the top side, is going to make this trade overall net positive for Rogue.
Even on gold, 3 kills to 2. If you look down the CS numbers, with the exception of the mid lane, where Larssen is kind of sort of balanced out that kill difference in some farm. No real noticeable differences. The Cloud Drake was picked up by Vitality. We have a 50% chance of an Infernal Rift, which I'm actually hoping happens. I want to see some more blast guns. Oh, this is not going to feel good, I feel. Unfortunate. He wasn't watching.
Oh no, it's the sign! It's the LEC sign! That wasn't there last split. What's going on?
Is it new terrain? Does it count as new terrain?
No, of course it doesn't.
I just want to clarify that because you sounded very, very serious and I almost believed you.
Yeah, I'll also tell you, I'm like 99.9% sure that on pro player screens, they do not see
that is
the
correct.
9 billion LEC crown banners.
That is 100% correct. The players do not see the rift as for observers and for us watching in, well, esports land.
But it would be a great excuse for him, is all I'm trying to say.
And that's all I wanted to clarify. Well, nevertheless, Cabochard obviously didn't find the target that he wanted, but Ender, you know, in terms of how the comps play out and the way the lanes were going, that was the obvious play. Now that we've inversed it, now that the Herald is with Inspired, what are the next few minutes of play? You have to feel Rogue want to try find an opportunity to get Shelly down on the map.
Yeah, so I'm thinking things settle down for the time being. Yes, of course, you know, Inspired probably going to drop that one down, but they don't have a lot of power towards the top side of the map, so really just up to him when he wants to place that one before turret plating do go down. Now, because I feel like we're going to get a bit of a lull for the next couple minutes, this is actually when I would like to take a moment to talk about some of the rune changes, because we're already seeing a couple of them, starting off with, oh, nice hit right there from Cabo. Starting off with Guardian down bot side, because this is a game where Vander on the Braum, pretty standard to go for the Guardian, whereas it used to be pretty common to see that on the Taric as well. Labrov went for Aftershock. Now, Guardian changes have created a big sort of divide in the community where a lot of pros are saying, Guardian, it's terrible now. It looks bad. And that's because it lost the movement speed when it activates, which a lot of pro players really did love. It gives you the ability to, of course, get out of a tough situation or chase down for kills. But if you look at stats, win rates and whatnot from solo queue, it's only gotten better. And that's because the shield was increased and also the tether range was increased, which basically means before you had to be within like 175 units, which is like the auto attack range of Darius. And now it's double that. So melee supports that don't necessarily have to stand on top of their ADC can still benefit from that change. And one other little factoid is that if you're actually looking at solo queue win rates, Guardian much more powerful than Aftershock on a lot of different characters. Now, I say that with the disclaimer that in pro play, Aftershock is still very good, but I'm happy to see that not everyone has jumped off the Guardian train just yet.
Well, that's really good to know, and it definitely feels like you're quite excited about this one, much to the opposite impact of pro players.
Honestly, nothing tilts me more than people talking about changes without like fully understanding them or like seeing like the
bigger picture, right?
The bigger picture, right? And I think that increasing the shield, especially by 50 later on in the game, is a big deal.
Okay, let's talk quickly items as we're getting set up for a dragon. Mana Immune and Hex Drinker picked up by Larssen. 117 CS at the 11-minute mark. In comparison, Milica's just sitting on a pretty gem. Not a whole lot to fight with. However, Vitality are now making their way up, and that's the engage. It's come down from Vander. Beautifully set up and closed out by Rogue. Now they continue to press forward, and they've got themselves priority in the pit. They played with vision fantastically.
I mean, honestly, I would love to just see that again, because like there's a ward so close to where Rogue were standing, and they weren't like hiding in a bush. They were like right around the wall right there. That was really, really clever. And NG, whose flash is just now getting up, even if he has flash, I don't know if he would have the reaction time to be able to see that Braum ult coming for him, because look at this. I mean, they have the control ward, of course, to know that there isn't any vision there, and this entire river is going to be clear for them. They're stalking NG this entire time. They're like, no, 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 come around the corner. It's just so good because you have 3 people around the corner, and then Finn's in that bush too, so they're ready to pounce.
That is literally the definition of it's time to go rogue.
Yeah.
As a group, they backed away, they baited him in, and just used the vision beautifully. It's a rare opportunity that you get that much time to watch a play, watch a team coordinator back away.
It's also, like, that was just so easily digestible too, because like we talk about like setting a trap for the enemy. It's like, it's fairly obvious, like you want to trap, but like it's all about controlling vision and being where you're not expected to be, and being around that wall completely unexpected for Vitality, and a wonderful move by Rogue and Vander.
And did you want to know how easy it was to understand, how digestible it was? I understood it. So yes, it was very well done. And obviously, again, actually huge kudos to the Observer team as well, because they highlighted the vision differences to toggling between it. Now, I will give Inspired a little bit of a naughty check mark. That Rift Herald, obviously it wasn't the opportune moment, so it ended up getting dumped down in the inhibitor. It still manages to get a full charge off and help get some plates.
I wish he dropped it at the inhibitor.
Well, his inhibitor is what I should have said. But this has ended up giving Rogue a 1,500 gold lead. They got the second dragon of the game. They've got a couple plates under the belt. They've balanced out the kills right now, and they're scaling up into this mid game.
And that's one of the great things. Like, yes, they got some gold right there, but a big one was actually the trap to set up for the Drake. Because, of course, if you give up one of the first, or if you give up both the first two Drakes, all of a sudden the timer of the game is just like, it moves down by like 5 minutes, you know? Whereas now Rogue can feel free, like, hey, we can give up a mountain or two before we go for the fight, and now they're going to look for the pick.
They really are. Vander and Hans Summer managed to get an easy early route.
Out of there, but that's TP's coming in now.
Comes out.
Two
How
TPs.
many? Double TP. That's Finn. That's arrived. There's Larssen as well. Call of the Forge God comes down. The Moonlight Vigil, with the help of a Rocket Barrage, managed to take one out. But here comes the turn. The burn. Vander stays alive. He's still unkilled. Keep your eyes on him. And Vitality, they turn it with a double TP of their own.
Yeah, Rogue really tried to go deep right there, but Inspired doesn't have a TP. He can't enter into that fight. Didn't necessarily respect the fact that Vitality had the options to counter attack as well. And because they had so much stalling survivability between the Kalista ult that meant Labrov didn't get instantly bursted and the Cosmic Radiance too, it was a nice combo to trade up in that fight.
Dude, also instantaneous reaction there from Vitality.
Yeah.
The double TPs came down from Rogue, and I think the moment that Vitality saw that, that is a moment that would be interesting to listen back to on the likes of Mic Check, where you know, you see the reaction, and Vitality is still 600 gold apart from Rogue as we hit 15 minutes. The first tower of the game will fall, as Rogue will pick themselves up their second Rift Herald. And now we're starting to get a closer look at how this play started.
Yeah, watch this one more time, because of course Hans Sama has the CC gun right here, which is a nice combo to get a lot of damage down onto Labrov. Then Comp pulls it out. That's when the double TPs come in. So they don't necessarily know that NG is going to be right here, and then Vitality say, we have to instantly respond, but they're under the tower, and watch NG, how he comes in from behind here to find Hans Sama, locks him up against the wall, combos him down right there. Hans Sama also taking turret damage, and NG just blows him up instantly. That was such a nice play. Like, yes, the two TPs were a big deal right there to get the kill onto Finn and to keep the backline alive, but it was NG that just found Hans Sama, who had no clue what was happening to him.
1, 2, and 1 on that Gragas. He's having a particularly impressive game right now.
Good news, though.
What is that?
Vander still hasn't died.
Dude, okay, so I know I'm very excited about this, and I hope fans are at home as well. I'll quickly show the stats one more time. In a moment, actually, because there's a graphic on the screen. But the Rift Herald is now being summoned down the bottom lane. This should be able to get a boop off and just about take it out. Let's now hunt someone, the rest of the team. Look for a potential engage here. Winter's Bite will tag Labrov if it doesn't happen. But yeah, Vander, 102 currently. He's got a 43 KDA, if we add his existing stats. 83% kill participation. I think it'll go up even higher, as he's been involved in 3 out of his team's 4 kills. And him along with Reckless, Rogue along with Fnatic, both teams 3-0, both teams with an unkilled player. It's just a fun mini-game to track, and it's a fun stat, especially for Vander, who's a player that, Christy, you and I are actually talking a lot about him in the off-season building up. Like, I've been shoutcasting Vander for many, many, many years, and it is hopeful for me that he goes back to some of the olden day form where there was a point in time where he was considered to be one of, if not the best support in Europe.
Yeah, I think he had a really good week 1, of course setting that trap with Rogue. A big deal around the last Drake. Now Mountain Drake has spawned on up here. Both Labrov and Cabo took a reset, so Rogue are going to be here very, very quickly. And sure, Cabochard can enter the fight, no problem, but same cannot be said for the Taric. I think Vitality are going to end up giving this one up, but they're a little slow on the map play because they took 2 resets. No one's in the top lane. This is where Vitality should be trading a top lane turret. If they decided a minute and a half ago, hey, we're giving up this objective, they get a tower for that one. But because they hadn't made that decision and they were like, well, NG's down towards the bot side, maybe we can contest it, they lose the Drake, they don't get anything for it, and they lose control over mid lane, which may end up beating this tower as well.
And Finn is waiting in the wings. There's a potential engage over the wall with Call of the Forge God. He's holding onto the trigger for now. The Vigil was thrown out by Hans Sama. It is enough to force NG away. Now the turret goes down 2, and Rogue 3 towers to 0, around 1,800 gold up. And I love the fact that Finn, he just held his ground. The objective, plain and simple, was the tower. They get it and they get out.
Yeah, and actually this is something Frost was talking a lot about backstage sort of before the game began, and saying, like, Rogue are a team that understand the fundamentals and respect priority in lanes so well. And you can see that in their gameplay right there, where they have all 3 lanes sort of pushed out. It nets them the easy Drake, then they can walk mid lane, they know Milica's bot side, so they have the numbers advantage. It's very textbook League of Legends, but what it's meant is they have 3 towers to Vitality's 0 for the time being, which gives them so much control over the map and ability to sort of dictate the pace of this game. And on top of that, it means their side lane's not going to be super vulnerable because they have towers to fall back on. So even once Kassadin reaches that super scary level 16, they should be decently safe underneath their tower.
The problem I have right now, from a Vitality perspective, is look at Larssen. 215 CS at 18 minutes. He's got himself the Trinity Force, got a fully upgraded Mirror Mana, still sitting on that Hex Drinker. That is a beefy Corki before 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And when you consider there's an Ornn, a Trundle, a Braum, and when you start thinking there's upgrades coming from the Ornn in the not too distant future, that is already a difficult problem to deal with before, you know, behind Corki is Aphelios as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, Rogue's comp, super solid. Like, all 5 champions, you know, work very well together. We've already talked about the combos like Trundle Pillar plus Ornn E, or even setting up for, you know, that Ornn ultimate to come in as well. Everything looks great for them. But I would caution us, again, Kassadin, super strong in the late game. There's not a lot of immediate hard CC on Rogue's side, and that wouldn't be a huge problem if they're just playing against Kassadin, because they have the damage and, quite frankly, the survivability between, you know, the shielding Hansama will get from Legend Bloodline, you know, the overheal as well, and all these things. But there's a Taric ult tool too they have to deal with.
Indeed. I mean, look, Finn is going to be the target here. He's going to get run down. Call of Forge Guard is interrupted. I mean, 3-on-1 between 2 towers. No support there. Easy kill for Vitality, but at what cost?
But again, here's the thing, right? Rogue have control way far forward in both their other lanes. So yes, Vitality get the kill. They've been scrambling to make a play happen, and they're going to get a top lane tower, but they are going to lose for sure the inner tower in bot lane and a lot of damage on that inner mid lane tower as well. So Finn is completely happy giving up his life in the top lane. He's like, 3 people come to me? Sure, we get your towers, we get your jungle camps, we deny you minions, and my team gets further ahead, because Finn at this point really doesn't care. Like, yes, he's trying to level up so he can hand out some items, but it is no problem to trade his life at the time of 3.
No, definitely not the case, especially when you consider where he provides his value. He's still got 2 tanky items, still sitting on those free-ass boots. It's still how I love to call magical footwear. It's one of my favorite names in the game. But I mean, itemization-wise, we're just scaling. 1,000 gold difference at 20 minutes. Titanic Hydra and Sunfire for Cabo. Blade of the Ruin King for Comp. Archangels being worked towards for Seraphs for Milica. Still scaling up. And by the way, I double-checked my notes. I can't see a single Kassadin game in Milica's history, including all of his previous experience as well. So this could be his very first Kassadin ever. Keeping in mind, we don't keep track of every single league, but at least date until 2018, which means I want to see how he plays his Kassadin.
So if Vitality win, we know Kassadin's broken.
That's what I was trying to get to, right? But we knew Kassadin was broken. Now we get to see in Milica's hands how it will play out. Hurricane was just picked up by Comp, by the way. So we know the side lane, or the level 16 Kassadin option, we can see him jumping on. If he can jump on and blow up a Corki or an Aphelios, that's an easy way to help play it out. Then those extended team fights with Kalista can do a lot of work. But how else do we see these teams? 30 seconds till the next Dragon. And then obviously you can start anticipating Baron maybe a little earlier, because there's so much frontline here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not convinced the Vitality are going to be trying to contest this. Now, I say that 3 of their members are resetting right now, so that is usually the cue to say, hey, we would like to fight over this, and they finished off items. The Zhonya's Hourglass, of course, just came through for NG. But again, they reset right before the Drake, so they don't have control in that middle lane at this moment, which means that Vision in River is all going to belong to Rogue, and that makes it really hard for Vitality to enter into this bot side river. They're again late to the play, and I don't think that they can contest it.
Oh, so maybe they're going Baron instead. Look at the vision.
It's too much, I feel like. It's too much.
Huge vision advantage for Rogue in the bottom half of the map. Vitality have just started pushing vision top. But if you look at the minimap, I think Vitality have got slightly better looking waves as well.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue have already gotten this Drake. Yeah, so Finn walks in and takes a lot of damage. That's not great news, but Hansama has the Calibrum. That's a lot of range. All
right, Call of the Forge God comes out, and a split between Labrov and NG, so the Dragon is secured. The threat that Vitality attempted to apply simply wasn't enough.
I mean, it's just VIT, or Rogue rather, seem like they just understand how to play the map better at this point in the game. You know, they're constantly controlling that middle lane. Vitality very late on their resets before the Drake spawns. They never fully have control, and it's going to continue being this way until they can maybe find a scrappy fight where Kassadin can pop off. But Kassadin, not necessarily at the point where you have the Lich Bane, which is when you start doing some serious mega damage on the champion. Of course, level 16 means you're super mobile within fights, and he's just one level away from that, which is a big deal. He's been constantly trying to go into side lane, so even though he's down in CS to Larssen, he's trying his best to keep up in EXP. Yeah,
Larssen, by the way, 500 gold bounty. Just picked up that Zeal as well. 277 ahead of the clock. 23.5 minutes on there, so picking up a lot of that side lane. It is at the expense of Finn, though, you have to feel. And similarly, Milica 249 and Cabochard's 185. But like 2 items apiece pretty much across the board. Roa was just fully stacked for Milica's Kassadin. He's still working towards that Seraphs. And this is literally exactly how I anticipated the game to play out from draft. And thank you, production. You can see the level progression on your screen.
I was honestly just about to say, it would be great if we could see the stacked levels of experience between all of our players. That is awesome here, because there's so many champions where it's important. Where Finn, 99% of the way to level 13, so now he's got his own upgrades on that Ornn. That's a big spike when you consider that Mountain Drake is going to be spawning in 3.5 minutes, and that Rogue are all around that top side river with vision inside onto Vitality's red buff. So they're gonna push this wave in mid, they're gonna walk into river, they have top lane push as well, so they can try to steal that red buff and then transition that power into damage on the top lane turret, or just blitz down towards this Baron.
Well, that's what they seem to be. I was about to ask, how did Vitality start a fight? And I won't get a chance to, because Baron has been initiated. Hans Summer is going to be hammering
that's
away.
One TP.
Teleport coming in from Cabo. That's coming in from the mid lane. And going to be able to throw down the ulti. Milica staying bottom. He's picked up a tower instead. Baron is going down relatively slowly for now. Cabochard and the rest of Vitality continue the pressure. Milica has not TP'd until this very second. And Rogue, I think, will be happy. They lose 1 tower, but they get 2 TPs.
I love it. I love it, Rogue. You're doing everything right. This is exactly what we want to see. They stay on that Baron. They know they're not taking damage. They've got a Trundle and an Ornn that can soak that up all day long. They waited till not only they get 1 TP, but both teleports. Now Larssen has free reign in a side lane. Now they can continue to try and dominate the map, and Vitality feels so pressured to make something happen, because they know if they do not make something happen before the resets come through from Rogue and everyone spreads out around on the map again, they are going to be danced on. You know, for the next 2 minutes, Larssen could go up towards the top side for when that Drake is going to spawn, and you have that full map pressure. And that's exactly where he's headed on the map too, although he pivots out of his base and is now going bot lane. But this is the idea, right, is that Rogue are going to destroy you on the map because now they have the global advantage.
Milica hit level 16. That's what the celebration dings were.
I see.
It may not matter because of 1,000 gold deficit, or the fact that you know, he doesn't have a Lich Bane. But Rogue are just playing around Vitality and really seem to be, I don't want to say like out macro, but out making decisions that are significantly better and punishing wave Vitality on the map.
Exactly, and I agree with you. I love the way Rogue have been playing. But I will say again, the game, gold-wise, very close. Yes, Ornn has items, is going to be handing those out, but now Milica has a Void Staff for himself too. Like, the items are there, the levels are there for Kassadin. We've said that Rogue compositionally have problems dealing with the Kassadin. Now Milica has basically said, I'm actually less interested in hitting the backline. I could actually hit a Finn or an Inspired here as well. Inspired, who's built no MR so far, except for those Merc Treads, could be problematic.
All right, well, let's see if Vitality can do it. They're starting to set up a little bit of a pincer move. Finn is in the top lane. Ender, how do you want to see them start the fight?
Well, the thing is, Vitality need Taric ult, I think, to go down on towards that Kassadin. Make sure he stays alive even through any CCs to get hit onto him. But Rogue are playing it too close to the tower for him to be effective yet.
I mean, look at this damage onto Cabochard. He's forced to flash defensively. The Cosmic Radiance to save Vitality's life.
Oh!
And Hans Summer doesn't quite get it yet. The burn is not going to be enough just yet. Defensive flash over the wall there by Cabo as well. He's forced to run for his life. Milica going to use that Rift Walk, and honestly, the Pillar of Ice melted Cabochard. He couldn't get away. He's not the tankiest Sion. Got a bunch of armor, sure, but that's simply not enough.
Yeah, he went Titanic Hydra for a little extra damage right there, and now they don't have the Cosmic Radiance before this Mountain Drake. Now, yes, Trundle, Aphelios, and Braum all going to be lacking in their ultimates as well, but Rogue is going to destroy Labrov.
Well, Labrov just gets melted where he stands. Cosmic Radiance will save his life temporarily for him to escape. Angie's going to get exhausted inside the pit. The Call of the Forge God sniping Labrov from downtown. Finn, she wrote, as Rogue will pick up the soul. 7 kills to 6. The gold lead is insignificant in comparison to how far ahead Rogue are as a team and how they are playing this game.
Yeah, I mean, their understanding is just better. Every single, Drake, every single Mountain Drake that spawned, every single Drake that Rogue have gotten, it's been a botched attempt by Vitality. Either they're late to the play or they're getting caught out, they're wasting their ultimates too early on. They're in so much trouble, and now it is just Milica and Cabochard to try and stay in the game.
Level 16 with the Void Staff and gonna bail away, actually. To the side, it's not worth the risk.
What can you do?
Yeah, lose that, lose the game. 3-0-1, by the way, for Larssen. He had the rapid fire cannon just before that fight began. I think Handsome is going to be able to buy something big because he's been sitting on gold for a while. And we can just see this replay of how Rogue obliterates Vitality.
I mean, it pains me because you say, yes, Kalista has the ultimates, you can try to scout it up right here. But again, without the Cosmic Radiance, you cannot fight. And I think that's a snipe from Finn.
It is indeed.
He's got the Burrow proc, so you get the extra damage on that Ram headbutt right there. And Rogue going to be able to win that one. And honestly, if Vitality, we're considering some more options, right? You have Predator Boots, you can actually scout Fog of War with those now.
Yeah.
Nanji didn't do that.
No, definitely not. And one of the things I think this game is painting a very clear picture of, the difference between the current top of the table, 3-0, and the current middle of the table, 2-1, right? Finn is going to be under some threat, but here comes Hans Sama. Gonna put out some damage, and with the help of Inspired, might be able to burn down anyone. But just showing the difference in ability and understanding between teams who both looked fairly good during the course of week 1. Rogue are now going to be on this push with Baron buff. Look at the middle lane and the bottom lane. A lot of minions starting to make their way forward and just tons of options. Wherever Rogue want to push, they can turn, they can look to burn a tower.
Yeah, last attempt for Vitality is probably going to involve an NG flank. It worked out great 20 minutes ago. Now they're further behind, but here he comes around on the side.
Well, he stood on top of about a million wards. Easily spotted out. Rogue simply don't care. Call the Forge Gods available and finally gets used. Cosmic Radiance is thrown out and simply arrives too late. It's too little.
All right.
It does not matter. Rogue are going to be able to find themselves some additional kills. Cabochard standing on the front line, tries to charge up the queue and will go golden just to buy some additional time as Comp is being burned down. He can't even get close enough in range to start chucking out some of those spears. Cabo's Ghost gets burned down. It's a 5 versus 3, and Rogue have been in control. It is a very dominant victory, but not a stomp victory. Does that make sense? Like, they've been in control. They have been clearly the superior team, and they have not put themselves in a position to get punished.
It's been Rogue's theme, in week 1 and now in this game too. It is methodical League of Legends. It is understanding the map better than your opponents, and they are going to do it one more time. You're just chasing down NG, trying to find all the kills before they wrap this one up.
So you're just for style points now. 4 games played, 4-0 for Rogue. Vander still unkilled as Rogue take down Vitality.
I really like what I'm seeing from this team.